clearly there is a criminal investigation underway and that they believe that there would be evidence of crimes in one or both of these homes.
Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
It's hard to believe, but one of the most influential figures in hip-hop, Sean Diddy Combs, has found himself in a place no one could have ever predicted, a high-security detention center under self-harm watch. Yeah, you heard that right. Diddy, the man who built a multi-million-dollar empire, rubbing elbows with A-list celebrities and living the ultimate luxury lifestyle, is now waking up to the cold reality of life behind bars. And if the latest reports are anything to go by, things are looking worse by the day.
The story we're tracking, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs on side watch at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center after 2 judges denied his request for bail. This as a grand jury is expected to hear new testimony from workers very soon.
So what's going on with Diddy? Why is he in such a dire situation? And what led to this dramatic downfall? It's a story that's got everything from power, scandal, and mystery to high-stakes drama. And as more details unfold, it's clear that this is no ordinary legal battle.
Now, so what is next? Is he going to be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that?
As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him actually released.
Let's dive into the latest news. Diddy has been placed on self-harm watch at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. According to insiders, this is more of a precautionary measure, but it's raising a lot of eyebrows. The FBI raided his homes earlier this year, and he's facing serious allegations related to racketeering and some very questionable activities that spanned over a decade. Even more alarming, reports are surfacing that Diddy is struggling to keep it together, with some saying the weight of the charges is beginning to take a real toll on his mental state.
Took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
Sources close to Diddy claim he's desperate to speak to his kids, and who wouldn't be? He's got 7 children, 3 of whom are still minors, and with his current legal situation, it's clear that they're not handling things well. Family insiders are saying that the kids are in shock and are leaning on each other for support. It's been a rough few weeks for the Combs family, and the stress is only mounting as Diddy continues to sit in the infamous Brooklyn Detention Center.
Special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
Now let's talk about the charges themselves, because they are no joke. Diddy is facing accusations that could put him away for a long time. This includes claims of racketeering, a charge often associated with organized crime. Yes, you heard that correctly. Diddy's being lumped in with accusations usually tied to crime syndicates. On top of that, the FBI is building what some are calling a mountain of evidence against him. Reports are swirling that investigators have uncovered a treasure trove of video footage, damning documents, and electronic data that could blow this case wide open. And all of this paints a pretty grim picture for one of hip-hop's biggest moguls.
I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine. But in the public realm, this is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from. We saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail cell right now.
Let's not forget the shocking details about Diddy's arrest. He didn't just get picked up on the streets. No, the authorities knew exactly where to find him. After a grand jury indictment, Homeland Security agents swooped in on September 16, taking him into custody at a Manhattan hotel where he was staying. There was no dramatic chase or public outburst, just a quiet arrest that stunned the music industry. This wasn't just a casual case of bad timing. Diddy knew what was coming. He had been bracing for it, having flown to New York just days before to await the inevitable. It's clear that even Diddy himself knew the walls were closing in. As for the detention center he's currently in, let's just say it's a far cry from the mansions he's used to. Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, or MDC, is notorious for its rough conditions. We're talking freezing temperatures, minimal access to the outside world in a highly controlled, structured environment. Former inmates, including R. Kelly and Ghislaine Maxwell, have described it as nothing short of brutal. No internet, no luxury, just the cold, hard reality of prison life.
I've had clients describe MDC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been in.
Diddy, now known by the Bureau of Prisons as register number 37,45254, gets the same treatment as everyone else in the facility. His day starts at 6 a.m. with a simple breakfast, some cereal, a piece of fruit, and maybe a breakfast cake, if he's lucky. There's no private chef, no lavish spread, just the bare minimum. According to a former warden of the facility, Cameron Lindsay, Diddy is going to have a tough time adjusting.
This has to be a 100% culture shock. I can't imagine living.
His celebrity status makes him a prime target for other inmates, and in the brutal world of prison, taking down a high-profile figure like Diddy would be considered a major win for anyone looking to make a name for themselves. This is a world that couldn't be further from the life Diddy was living just months ago. He's used to private jets, sprawling estates, and a personal team of staff to cater to his every need. Now, he's in a cramped cell with a steel bed and a thin mattress, sharing space with over 1,000 other inmates in one of the most notorious detention centers in the country. His lawyers have already called the conditions horrific, but so far, there's been no relief in sight. Diddy's request for bail has been denied twice, leaving him stuck in NDC for the foreseeable future.
Posted yesterday all over our social media pages, Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy.
Yikes.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
But here's the kicker. Diddy's not just concerned about himself. Sources say he's doing everything he can to stay strong for his kids, but he's desperate to speak to them. It's been reported that he's been allowed a few brief phone calls, but it's nowhere near enough for a father of 7. His family is in crisis mode, trying to figure out how to navigate this nightmare. The 17-year-old twins, Delilah and Jesse, are reportedly staying with a close family friend in Los Angeles, while the rest of his children are doing their best to keep things together. And all the while, Diddy remains behind bars, waiting for his next court date. The media frenzy surrounding this case is only getting louder, with headlines calling this one of the biggest scandals in music history. Some experts believe Diddy is in for a rough legal battle, with a potential life sentence looming over him if he's convicted. There's no denying that these charges are some of the most serious that Diddy has ever faced, and it's clear that this case is going to drag on for a while.
These are all allegations that have become shockingly familiar against Diddy in recent months, as he has faced lawsuit after lawsuit from women and men who have accused him of all manner of bad behavior.
And if all this wasn't enough, Diddy's legal team is facing an uphill battle. They've tried to argue that Diddy's wealth and prominence should be enough to allow him bail, suggesting house arrest at his luxurious Miami mansion with 24-hour surveillance. But the judge wasn't having any of it. Despite offering up millions as part of his bail package, the court ruled that Diddy is still too much of a flight risk and a potential danger to witnesses. Prosecutors have painted him as a man with a history of intimidation, and the sheer amount of evidence piling up against him has made the judge skeptical of any claims that he can be trusted to remain free before his trial.
The plaintiff. So basically what that means is the money that they're saying Diddy has to start paying this guy on October 1st, right. Diddy's team is like, hold on, we need an emergency conversation about why this should not have been granted. And they awarded him a TRO, which basically meant that Diddy's team was not allowed to sell any property in that state or anything related to what could be used to pay the plaintiff.
And let's not forget the infamous videos. These are the key pieces of evidence that could seal Diddy's fate. According to sources, federal investigators have gathered hours upon hours of footage that could show Diddy engaging in behavior that most people wouldn't believe unless they saw it with their own eyes. These videos, along with other electronic evidence, form the backbone of the prosecution's case, and if they're as damning as some are suggesting, it could be the nail in the coffin for Diddy's defense.
Replete with very, very serious and salacious allegations, including allegations that Combs had cameras.
But even with all this going on, Diddy's legal team isn't giving up. They vowed to fight these charges to the end, with his lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, telling reporters that Diddy is ready for the battle ahead. He's innocent, Agnifilo said after one of the court hearings. He's been looking forward to clearing his name, and he's going to clear his name, and we're going to stand by his side as he does. Still, there's no denying that the pressure is building. The longer Diddy remains in jail, the more his image as a powerful and untouchable mogul starts to crack. Some have even started drawing comparisons between Diddy's situation and that of other high-profile figures who faced similar scandals.
The rumors are that Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody, right?
That's the rumors, yeah. I don't know that there's any proof or anything other than that.
For now, Diddy remains in his cell at MDC Brooklyn, waiting for the next chapter of this unbelievable story to unfold. It's a far cry from the life he once led, and as the days go by, it's becoming increasingly clear that this isn't just a temporary setback. This could be the beginning of the end for one of the most powerful figures in the music industry. The question now is, how will it all play out? Now, let's dive into the even bigger picture surrounding Diddy's downfall, because this isn't just about one man's dramatic fall from grace. This is about the secrets and scandals that have surrounded him for years. People are already starting to whisper about parallels between Diddy and none other than Jeffrey Epstein. Yes, that's right. Some are saying Diddy's story could be heading down the same path as Epstein, with even darker secrets lurking just below the surface. Think about it. Just like Epstein, Diddy held incredible power in his industry. We're talking about a man who could make or break careers with a single phone call. He ran the music world for decades, throwing legendary parties and surrounding himself with the biggest names in Hollywood and beyond. His connections, his influence, they were untouchable. But now, with these charges piling up, some are starting to question just how far Diddy went to maintain that power. What if the persona of the fun-loving mogul was a mask for something far more sinister?
And in this lawsuit, he claims that essentially P. Diddy was the Epstein of the rap industry.
For years, there have been whispers of Diddy's wild private life. Stories about parties that took place behind closed doors, where things got a little too out of control. These were more than just lavish celebrity events. Rumors began circulating that Diddy's private gatherings involved all kinds of shocking behavior, and now, with these accusations coming to light, people are wondering if those rumors were closer to the truth than anyone realized.
Diddy has been under criminal investigation for months by federal prosecutors here in New York, and if there are criminal charges, many of them may look a lot like what some of these individuals have been describing.
One of the key similarities between Diddy and Epstein is the way they allegedly wielded their power to control people. Just like Epstein, Diddy is accused of using his influence to manipulate those around him. Reports suggest that he kept people in his orbit through fear, bribery, and intimidation. And it's not just a few isolated incidents. These behaviors have been part of Diddy's playbook for years. There are stories going back decades of Diddy losing his temper, threatening people who crossed him, and using his wealth to get what he wanted. One source even compared Diddy's empire to a criminal organization, with Diddy at the helm pulling all the strings. But let's rewind for a second. How did we even get to this point? Diddy's rise to fame began in the early 90s when he started his own record label, Bad Boy Records, and helped shape the sound of modern hip-hop. With artists like the Notorious B.I.G., Faith Evans, and Maze under his wing, Diddy quickly became one of the most powerful figures in the music industry. He was young, rich, and living the dream. But behind the scenes, there was always a darker side to his success.
Stacey Schneider. And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise.
The story started coming out almost immediately. Diddy was known for being a hard-driving boss, demanding perfection from everyone around him. But according to some, he was more than just a tough leader. He was downright ruthless. Former employees and associates have described him as someone who ruled through fear, making it clear that anyone who got on his bad side would regret it. And it wasn't just his business dealings that were raising eyebrows. Over the years, there were countless rumors about his personal life too.
Well, if he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right?
Some of the most shocking allegations involve Diddy's infamous freak-offs, private parties that reportedly featured some pretty questionable behavior. According to various reports, these gatherings were more than just your typical celebrity blowouts. Instead, they were said to be wild, multi-day events that push the limits of what's considered acceptable, with all sorts of bizarre activities taking place. Some have even suggested that Diddy would record these events, creating a stockpile of videos that could now be part of the mountain of evidence prosecutors have gathered against him.
Everything that you're looking at, they're all tied in together. Every part, as crazy as this seems, as outrageous as it seems, it all ties in. Every bit of it.
Sound familiar? It should, because this is eerily similar to the allegations against Epstein, who also reportedly used recordings of private gatherings as leverage over powerful people. And just like with Epstein, there's a growing sense that Diddy's connections in Hollywood, music, and beyond helped protect him for years. His wealth and influence kept people quiet. Until now, the sheer scope of these allegations has led some experts to speculate that Diddy could be facing a life sentence if convicted. Prosecutors are reportedly building a case that could rival the one against Epstein, complete with a treasure trove of evidence that spans years, if not decades. There's talk of video footage, witness testimonies, and electronic data that could paint a damning picture of a man who was willing to do whatever it took to maintain his empire.
The issue is, it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who...
And this isn't just about Diddy's actions behind closed doors. Let's not forget that he was at the center of some of the biggest scandals in the music industry. The East Coast-West Coast rivalry that led to the demises of Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G. was one of the darkest periods in hip-hop history, and Diddy was right in the middle of it all. For years, there have been whispers about his involvement in the feud, with some even suggesting he played a role in the violence that unfolded. While nothing has ever been proven, the rumors have persisted, and now, with these new charges, some are wondering if Diddy's past is finally catching up with him.
With this newest lawsuit, this would probably only expedite or increase the amount of allegations and potential witnesses who could testify against Sean Combs.
Even more troubling are the accusations that Diddy has been involved in a pattern of abusive behavior for years. Just like with Epstein, there are multiple people coming forward with stories that suggest a long history of misconduct. Former associates, business partners, and even some of Diddy's ex-girlfriends have hinted at a man who was far more controlling and aggressive than his public persona would suggest. It's almost as if Diddy has been hiding in plain sight all these years, with his charm and success acting as a shield against the truth.
That he controlled every aspect of her life. He is accused of frequently beating her and would hide her in hotel rooms for days until the bruising and signs of abuse were gone.
The parallels between Diddy and Epstein go beyond just their behavior, though. Both men operated in elite circles, surrounding themselves with powerful people who seemingly turned a blind eye to what was going on. In Epstein's case, it was celebrities, politicians, and business leaders who were implicated in his scandal. For Diddy, the list of names connected to his world is just as jaw-dropping. The so-called Diddy list is already making the rounds on social media, with fans speculating about which celebrities might have attended his infamous private parties. Names like Leonardo DiCaprio, Jay-Z, Beyonce, and even Justin Bieber have been thrown around as possible attendees. While there's no solid proof that these stars were involved in anything shady, the fact that they were connected to Diddy raises all sorts of questions about how much they really knew.
Alleged evidence that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named freak-offs.
Of course, not everyone is convinced that Diddy's going down without a fight. His fans, loyal to the end, have taken to social media to defend him, with some even suggesting that this whole thing is part of a larger conspiracy to take him down. One comment that's been making the rounds is, let me guess, the cameras will stop working, the guards will fall asleep, and there will be an accident. It's a not-so-subtle reference to the mysterious circumstances surrounding Epstein's own demise while in custody. And with Diddy now under self-harm watch, some fans are already speculating that something suspicious could happen. But others aren't so sympathetic. One fan bluntly stated, he created his own hell. No one should feel sorry for him. It's a sentiment that seems to be growing as more details come out. People are starting to realize that this isn't just about one mistake or misunderstanding. This is about years of alleged abuse and manipulation. And if the rumors are true, Diddy has no one to blame but himself.
And I remember, I don't know if you know what his voice sounds like, but I felt like I was in the presence of his monster inside.
So what happens next? Well, Diddy's legal team is still fighting tooth and nail to get him out on bail, but with the mountain of evidence against him, it's looking less and less likely. In the meantime, the media frenzy is only growing. Every day, there are new revelations, new accusations, and new people stepping forward to share their stories. And as we've seen with other high-profile cases, once the floodgates open, it's hard to stop the tide. At this point, it's impossible to predict exactly how things will play out. But one thing is clear, Diddy's once glittering career is in serious jeopardy. Whether he ends up behind bars for life or somehow manages to beat the charges, his reputation has taken a hit that he may never recover from. It's a stunning fall from grace for a man who, for so long, seemed untouchable.
That this is the end of the Diddy story as we know it.
And now, as the court dates approach and the evidence continues to mount, one question remains: will Diddy's empire crumble like so many others before him, or will he somehow manage to escape the fate that seems all but inevitable? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, the world will be watching every step of the way. So, what do you guys think? Is Diddy really facing the end of his reign, or could he somehow bounce back from this massive scandal? And what about those eerie parallels with Epstein? Are we about to see another high-profile downfall unfold in front of us? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more updates, and we'll catch you in the next video.